Good morning, Olga. So every week we will be sending you a feedback video. So welcome to your first one, and we'll be loading up your portal today with some other materials for you to consume and do for next week. Sorry, it's taken me a few more days. We have initially, gone through quite a lot of the different psychometric scales on your portal. So we're just going to go through them steadily. You'll probably need maybe 10 minutes to watch this video and go through this video. And then I'm going to give you some pointers and some things maybe to look at in the coming weeks. And then we'll just build upon this week by week. And we'll get you booked in as well to discuss the things that we're looking at, some of the potential areas of concern. There's nothing major. Looking at things like your couch. So I'm just looking at your scales now. So I like to go through them in real time. I've been through them once, so we'll go through them again now. So looking at your core self-evaluation scale, everything seems to be relatively in order, although there is a contradictory sort of statement and score when we're looking at sort of your determinism, idea of free will. That's good. So we know you can sort of elicit your own critical thinking and make decisions based on those critical thoughts. Yet there are areas which have strangely enough come up in regards to feelings of depression, which we've not really explored any more deeply than just having seen them sort of be highlighted in these psychometrics. Emotional regulation seems to be okay. I have experienced emotion without control. Yeah, it seems to be in pretty good order. Attentive to feelings. Yeah, so there's some sensitivity here in regards to maybe these feelings of depression, um, caring about how you feel, caring about those internal responses. When we anchor in on them as heavily as potentially you may be doing, they also almost become a driving force for how we feel, which could maybe be linked to some of those negative feelings, especially at work, because we can see obviously in the psychometrics that you're very, very orientated towards doing a good job, doing well. So if you're being made to feel a certain way and anchoring in on that, it can maybe overlap into, am I doing good enough? I don't like this, how this is making me feel. Navigating those environments at work. When I was set, I believe it was. Yeah, that was fine. Absolutely fine. When I was set, I feel like I'm weak. Okay. Vulnerability. When I'm upset, I feel like I am weak sometimes. When I'm upset, I feel guilty for feeling that way sometimes. Okay, there's a lot of what seems to be reoccurring here is a lot of anchoring on these internals, right? These internal feelings. When I am upset, I have difficulty concentrating sometimes. When I'm upset, I have difficulty in controlling my behaviours. Almost never. That's good. Due diligence. Um, when I am upset, I become embarrassed for feeling that way. Okay, so here we are. I think we're leaning into something here. You can give me some notes on this video as well, and we'll discuss it further because I'll put this. This will be on a whiteboard, so as you'll see, it's been shared with you via a whiteboard, and you can add your comments below, and then I can add comments, and you can add comments, and then we can build upon it this way. So there's obviously a lot of internal attachment to the internal feelings, and there's almost like this idea that it's an embarrassing thing if people potentially see those vulnerabilities. If I'm wrong, just add me on. Just comment below. Let's have a look. We just need to unpick these. This is what we're doing here. Olga, we're just unpicking everything. Okay. Everything else seems to be in order. There's definitely some internal orientation, some big anchor into the internal world, the internal working model. So potentially that's the work we're going to be doing. We're going to maybe focus on a little bit more. I think I said we was going to do some of that anyway. Cognitive distortions seems to be relatively okay. Yeah, I predict the worst will happen. Really, I blame myself. Here we go, though. Yeah, okay. We'll lean into it again. I feel responsible for other people's feelings and problems. Very, very anchored in emotional response to yourself and the people around you. Okay, so this is a bias. We're going to look. This is what we see as an emotional attachment bias. So everything seems to be driven by the internal emotions as well as other people's emotions, arguably. Okay. Future orientation, we know exactly where we want to be. We did this um, in our consultation, so we can see, exactly where you want to be going and what you want to do. I know being in your new role as well, you want to sort of integrate this identity with your career. There's a lot of relying on external approval. That's the only problem. But it's this emotional connection. Everything seems to be driven by emotion and tied in knots. So your emotions at the minute are tied and tangled with your behavioural responses. And what's happening is we get a recursive feedback loop in this sense. So how to explain it? If I feel a certain way and I anchor into my emotional response and then behave in accordance with that emotional response. Usually, most of the time, the environment will then be influenced by my behaviour, as we both know. If I decide to start dancing and singing now, it elicits a response from yourself watching this. So my behaviour drives, the external response to my behaviour. When my behaviour is predicated on my internal response, my internal feelings, there's a lot of emotionality, both internal and external here. When you clear this out, and we clear this out a little bit, which is what we'll try and do, it'll ease the load, number one, and it'll help you, because we know you've got a lot of strengths, but it'll also help us drive these strengths forward and not have them hindered or subdued by the weight of this emotional connection with the world. It's not a bad thing, by the way, Olga. Which is very empathetic, but to such a degree where it can weigh heavy on you and stop you from going where you want to go and do what you want to do. Right, let's have a look. It's going to look very strange because I'm looking at the screen and going through everything at the minute. Yeah, so there's self-compassion as well, but that's again an emotional response to your actions, shall we say. The most important questions you've never been asked, I'm going to analyse them through a semantic analysis. I'm not going to do that just by reading them. A semantic analysis will just give you a more in-depth psychological evaluation on those questions. Those questions are incredible. They have been compiled over the last decade by world-renowned psychologists, and they're worded in such a way to elicit a really, really in-depth thinking system, like process. These questions are designed to make you think. Metrics seem to be relatively high. Emotional state and moods high. Thought management's we're sitting around 7. Let's continue with these. If you can just backdate them as well for me, Olga. So you'll see Sunday the 24th, and Monday the 25th, and Wednesday the 27th. If you remember how you was feeling during those times, just see if you can backdate them. Right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to send you some. I'm going to send you. Okay. I'm going to send you some stuff to help you emotionally reset to start with. We need to build upon this. Once we start building this into practice, and when we start regulating the emotions better, and doing some metacognitive frameworks on these internal responses, these internal mechanisms, we're going to be able to set you free a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to now go on your worksheets, and I'm going to add you some. I'll start you gentle. I'm sure you may have done them before, but I want you to really do these, and I want you to partake in them and just follow the instructions. So we're going to do we'll start you at stage 1. We're going to do some DMT Wim Hof breath work. And this really does, and I mean this by the depth to me, I use this every day. It will reset your nervous system almost immediately. Like, it's just such a fantastic technique to use we'll build upon these frameworks as well. And a few other things I'm going to do is say, I just want a reflection of you as well. I want you to watch another video that I'm going to send you now. Here we go. And then we are going to, I'm going to get your reflections on that. And I'll probably do the semantic analysis on your reflections and do a semantic analysis on the questions that you have answered in your, the most important questions you'll ever ask. So below this video, Olga, just give me a shout and let me know if I'm on the right lines here from a psychological analysis in regards to the emotional sort of response to the internal emotions and the emotions of others. If you can just confirm or deny my terrible analysis or fantastic analysis, if you confirm or deny, then at least if we can confirm, we can start looking at this as a real point to explore. Okay, and we'll go from there. But you'll have loads of stuff to do on here. We'll keep building it full of stuff. The breathwork, try it. I mean, it is a dream. And I'll be in touch shortly. If you need me, WhatsApp me. You know where I am.